Fantasy Rap
with Austin and Ozzy.
Oh, I just love those boys.
Hey everyone, this is Fantasy Rap, and I'm your host Ozzy.
And I'm your co-host Austin.
You can find us on fantasywrap.com. That is fantasywrap.com. Hey everybody, welcome to the follow-up to Week 13. We'll start off with how we did. How'd you do?
I went 2-1.
Oh, I was waiting for another 3-0.
Yeah. If I had made a couple different start-sit decisions in the Dynasty League with Nick, I could have pulled out a win, but I think with the win I might have made playoffs in that league. But so missed playoffs in that one. And then won pretty handily. Yeah. In the Dynasty
Handily.
Yeah. In the Dynasty League with you and Isaac. So
yeah, you were third highest.
Yeah. So
I think I was 6th or 7th highest, and I still won.
Yeah. Well, I like the standings in that league because it's the guy in first who's 13-0, and then it's you. And then it's Isaac, and then it's me. So, and then
you guys have done well.
Yeah, and then you and I play each other this week. So, and I get you without a quarterback,
without either quarterback, with zero quarterbacks.
Yep, no CMC,
unless my waiver request comes through. Can't tell you. You'll probably go.
I wouldn't do that.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, I get a first week bye.
Yeah.
Honcho and I get the first week bye, so it doesn't. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there so I don't have a zero in a slot.
Yep. Gotta at least try.
Yeah.
And then in the Yahoo League, I beat up on Brittany pretty bad in that one too. Not physically, virtually.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't be here if you were beating her up physically. I didn't. Yeah. He just wouldn't be here.
Yeah. Be in a ditch somewhere.
I didn't say that.
But
you wouldn't be here.
Yeah. So a must win, in that league for me. Got the win, put up like 159 in that league, which is a pretty solid week. Only had 2 other teams score higher. And then this week I'm playing James in that league last week before playoffs. I'm in 6th. James is in 7th, and then I was showing you the standings. There's, 3 teams are 7-6, and then there's like 5 of us that are 6-7 going into the final week, and I'm crazy. In 6th place, but and then like I was showing you, I'm 3rd highest in scoring in that league,
playing the 4th highest in scoring, who's just behind you.
Yeah,
that's crazy. I mean,
I think this is the closest playoff race we've ever had. Normally, it's usually maybe 4 teams vying for that last.
How many make it?
6. So 6. Half the league makes it, and this year it's 8 of us.
It's win or you're out.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, you can't afford to lose.
Yeah.
So, well, I went 2-1. I won by 1 point in the 32-year league, which leaves 4 of the 16 teams at 10-3.
Wow.
Including 2 of us in the same division.
Wow.
So, broken up into 4 divisions, and 2 of us in one division, plus I think another guy in our conference are all 10-3.
Wow.
So it's interesting. Yeah. So I'm probably going to finish 2nd, which loses me $25 because I don't get the division crown, which gets you an extra $25.
Gotcha.
So he would have to lose and I would have to win, and otherwise we go down to it's funny because we actually go to our 4th tiebreaker because head-to-head's even. Well, record is even, head-to-head is even. Divisional record will be even.
Wow.
And so we'll probably both be 5-1 in our division. And then it goes to something like conference opponent winning percentage or something of the guys that you beat versus lost
so
to.
like strength of schedule.
Yeah. Even though we played the same teams, if he beat a team that has a better record than I do, then he would go.
Gotcha.
And he has more points than me. So, and then I won in the dynasty, in spite of CMC being lost for the year, and I lost in the one that I dominated last year. I cannot start the right people. I sat Bucky Irving again. Bucky Irving won't be sitting this week.
No, I made that decision
unless he's out.
I made that decision I think it was after their bye. I was like, all right, I've just got to start him, and the last 2 weeks have been
29 points or so both weeks.
Yeah,
so
upper 20s both weeks.
Yeah. I mean, instead I played Breece Hall, and Breece Hall has supposedly one of the easiest schedules coming up.
They do, but Braylon Allen's heavily involved. He was going in, Breece Hall was going into the week with was it his knee or something like that? That's right, a little sore. Yeah, which it was sore all through the bye week. So I think they came in, not wanting to push him that hard. I mean, they do have a really good, like the most favorable running back schedule. Right. But again, Braylon Allen's heavily involved, and I think even they had a rookie running back this week scored a touchdown for him.
Isaiah Davis.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
He came in and scored a touchdown.
But his was a receiving touchdown? I think receiving touchdown from Rodgers, if I remember correctly. I am, right now, I'm holding down the 6th spot. So I really could use a win this week.
I feel you there.
or the person who's tied with me has to have a loss. Yeah. I've outscored that person, and of course it's Karen.
It's like your mortal enemy.
Yeah. I mean, she's coming back to bite me in the butt. But I mean, if my guys show up and actually play well, I could easily win. Any week I could win.
Fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a good team. I'm still like 3rd in scoring, and and that's with, like I said, I'd go into a week and I'd have my roster set, and 2 or 3 guys would get injured during the week. I mean, during their game, so they'd only score, a half or a third or 2/3 of the regular what they would have scored. So I'm still 3rd in the league in scoring, in spite of that. Yeah. So. Hopefully things work out for me. Moving on to our injuries, we've got to start with Rashad Bateman injured his knee. Unknown how long he'll be out.
Yeah, I mean, he had like 2 weeks back to back that were pretty nice. Had the, I think touchdowns in both of them. So, if they need him, he's been targeted, but they're into their bye this week, so
so is everyone else.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
so they're into their bye. So I'll just be kind of monitoring what happens this week and then next week for him. And I think they come out after their bye. They think they play the Giants, if I'm remembering correctly. So might be a thing where they just go, we don't really need you. We'll sit you. Let you get real healthy before we push into playoffs here.
Yep. Next up, we've got Trevor Lawrence, concussion protocol, nasty hit. Aziz is going to be out for 3 weeks.
Whatever.
Aziz Al-Shaair.
Yeah.
It's interesting because, back to my commentary on how I think people should be penalized. Yep. You knock someone out, you get a penalty for it, and a flagrant like that, and you're gone as long as they are, and he will be.
Yeah, some of those get kind of tough because, Trevor Lawrence, he's like 6'4", like
6'5".
Yeah, he's a big guy and he's running full speed. Did he slide maybe a touch late? In my opinion, yes. I mean, even if it was it wouldn't happen because a running back wouldn't just, slide like that, like a quarterback would in the open field. But that was, I believe
CMC did.
Well, that's. I thought CMC. I thought we'll talk about it, but I saw the replay. It looked like it was going to be an Achilles.
Oh, gotcha.
In the replay. But for the Lawrence one, I think he slid a little late. The DB's already, he's full speed. And by the time Lawrence slid, and as a defensive player, you can't slow up too early because they're going to do the old Kenny Pickett, in college and do the fake slide, or they're just going to,
which is illegal in college, but it's not in the pros.
Yeah.
And you've seen Mahomes do that. Mm-hmm. Mahomes will go down the sideline, and he'll act like he's going out, and then he'll come back in. I say just, hit him.
Yeah, you want to have them stop doing that. You got to just light it up.
Yeah. I mean, and the Packers did that last year with a legal hit that got called illegal.
Yeah,
which was you almost go too far protecting a quarterback, but you're doing it in such a way that this whole sliding, if that guy is ready to leave his feet, there's no way that the brain can process. Oh, don't hit him.
Yeah. Yeah, you're coming in at, 19,
20 miles
an hour, and the quarterback's coming, and Trevor's coming at you probably the same, almost the same speed. It's so quick. I mean,
and I hate to see it.
You can make the argument that, well, he's going to slide because he sees you coming, and it's like, well, yes and no, but I mean, it was still nasty. He got the the stiff arms and stuff.
Yeah.
So
I like I said, I feel bad for anyone that happens to. Mm-hmm. I mean, imagine back in the day when they were playing with leather helmets or no helmets at all.
Yeah.
Now think about all the hockey players who never wore a helmet and lost teeth. Probably had multiple concussions, broken bones in the face, etc. If you're going to play that type of sport, some of this is beyond the control of, you can't protect, otherwise put him in a bubble or make a two-hand touch on him.
Yep.
You can't.
I got it. It's got to be like onside kicks now. You have to announce when you're going to do a designed quarterback run and say, I'm going to run for 8 yards. And then don't touch me. I will slide at 8 yards.
But if I haven't gotten to 8 yards, you can kill me. and that's I saw that and I didn't think it was intentional.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are players that intentionally lower their helmet and hit with the crown of the helmet in the neck/chin area. A lot different. Mm-hmm. This is a guy is trying to make a play. And then, for the people that say, well, he hit him in the helmet, he hit him in the head, he hit him in the neck. When a quarterback goes down like that and you're coming in, he was aimed right for the middle of the body.
Well, I mean,
and then all of a sudden the head goes down.
Watch 95% of cornerback safeties, how they tackle in the open field.
Yeah.
They go low.
Yeah.
They go for the knees.
And they can't
ankles.
go for the knees on a quarterback.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they can outside the pocket.
Yeah.
But,
once you're rushing the ball as the quarterback, yes.
Where he was headed was going to be, probably the upper leg area. Mm-hmm. And then the legs go down, the head goes down, and the head comes off.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Like I said, when it's, when the quarterback comes in a little late, to slide like what I think Trevor did. I mean, it's nasty, but you got to look at it and it just.
Here's maybe what you do. Here's maybe what you do. You tell guys that they need to slide a little bit earlier, and you're going to award them 1 yard of additional because they're giving themselves up.
Yeah.
So that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Because as they get up there and they think I need to slide, you need to slide a little bit earlier if you want to be protected.
Yeah.
So part of that, it's on the quarterback. Mm-hmm. It really is, or anyone else it's on the quarterback. because the quarterback's the only one who's sliding. So he comes out there, do it a little earlier, because these are some big, strong, fast athletes. I mean, we've talked about the difference between 30 years ago
I was going to say,
and,
not even
and
that
now.
far. Imagine these quarterbacks trying to slide in front of like Brian Dawkins.
Yeah. Yeah, but
He would, decapitate.
Yeah.
I mean, worse than what happened to Trevor.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
You don't have to go back that far.
No, but I'm
You
just
know, but yes.
what I'm saying is that back in the day, guys weren't as fast, as big, as strong.
Pretty much everybody was a pocket passer.
Right, well, they were.
Yeah.
But there weren't all of these protections either.
Yep.
I mean, if you got outside the pocket and started running, you were going to get killed.
I mean, you'd get killed even if you're taking, if somebody's coming on your blind side, they could clobber you, and actually land on you.
Yeah. Well, even that has changed a lot. I mean, when they started enforcing that penalty, and the biggest offender, air quotes there, was what's his name? Clay Matthews.
Oh, yeah.
Clay Matthews was constantly called for an illegal hit on the quarterback. And most of them were nothing.
Yeah.
And there are bigger hits going on today, much bigger hits going on today. And you see, it used to be if your hand even came by their helmet, it was a penalty. Now it has to be forcible contact.
Yeah.
And I sit there and I go, okay, well, that guy just got his head swatted, but you didn't call anything. What is forcible?
Yeah.
But just, get a rule, like not landing on them. If you're going to enforce that, enforce it for everybody. But then same thing with, Kansas City's right tackle.
Oh, yeah, where he's
starting behind the line,
leaning back. Well, even
and he's moving before the play starts.
Kansas City, and then is it Lane Johnson on the Eagles? He does that a lot too, where he's already shifting his weight back.
Right, that's a penalty.
If
it's not snapped, if it's not snapped and he's moving, it's a penalty.
Yep.
And he's already, the guy for Kansas City, he's usually got a full step in before the ball is snapped.
Yep.
And you know what? Call it. Yeah. Call the penalties. I know people complain that, you're picking on blah, blah, blah. No, if you're going to, you can't be selective in how you do it. You can't go, we're going to teach him in the first 5 plays and then we're not going to call it again.
Well, that was that first game.
Yeah.
With the Chiefs. It was like 3 downs in a row.
Yeah, but he deserved it.
Yes.
And he still deserves it practically every play. You need to stay there in your position until the ball is snapped, period. So I'm going to get off my soapbox. Moving on, we've got Ladd McConkey. Knee injury, unknown how long he'll be out. That would be bad.
Yeah, sounds like could potentially miss a little bit of time from what I've been hearing. We said he's got a couple different things along with the knee too that he's working through. It sounds like so. I mean, he was. You
can say hemorrhoids on our on our show.
Make a ointment for that. But I mean, he was their workhorse to start that game. Like I said, I was playing Britt this week in the Yahoo League, and she had McConkey, and all of a sudden I'm just looking there. He's got like 18 points, and it's like the second quarter, and I'm like, what? So
it happens.
Yeah, I mean that one would be. I think are they in the Monday night? I can't remember if they're the Monday night game because they're playing the Chiefs.
I don't recall.
So if you got McConkey and you're not sure, and you got space, Josh Palmer has had some decent games against the Chiefs. He comes to mind, in replacement. So, just keep an eye on that.
Next up, we've got Taysom Hill out for the season with a knee injury. Of course, I picked him up and played him. But here's another guy. Yeah. So this week I played Taysom, and I played quarterback Tampa Bay.
Baker.
Yeah. And he was injured partway through. Now, he came back and finished. He got stepped on, and I should probably have had him up here, but, it was just he was cleated in the Achilles area, so his leg was a little sore. But so, Taysom Hill gone, which is not good for them because he's been an important part of that offense.
Yeah, obviously with everything he does, throwing, catching, rushing, they are getting Kendre Miller back. He's second year now. Who I don't know if you had heard this. So he got put on IR, and it was because Dennis Allen, former head coach of the Saints, apparently hates Kendre Miller. He put him on IR without consulting anybody else, and then it was like the next day got fired, and then they found out that it was what he went on IR for was not like he didn't need to. So he's been healthy for like 2 weeks now. So he's coming back. There's some hype around when he was drafted, and then obviously they extended Kamara, but he should come in because Jamal Williams had like 1 carry this week. He's been he's basically disappeared. Yeah. So, Kendre can come in, and, they still have Juwan Johnson, who I think it was last season actually ended in playoffs, was like one of the best tight end plays through playoffs. Like, right. He was amazing. So, somebody to keep an eye on. But yeah, that does suck for the Saints, losing a big part of your Swiss Army knife.
Yeah. Next up, we've got Dallas Goedert. Knee injury, unknown how long he'll be out.
Yeah, I feel like he's like 3 weeks he's healthy, and then he's
I think I cursed him by choosing him as my tight end pick of the week.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Of course he got injured because I chose him.
Yep. So, that one, again, they've got Saquon.
Right.
And then Hurts.
Pretty much everything runs through Saquon right now.
Devonta Smith, if he's back this week, should he'll get a nice boost without Dallas Goedert. They kind of they're detriments to each other when they're both healthy. It's so they always kind of need one or the other to not be out on the field. So
Sorry, you can't play this week because Dallas is playing.
I got a bonus check I need to get.
Next up, we've got Noah Brown, rib injury, unknown how long he'll be out.
Yeah,
it was the Terry McLaurin show last week, so
yeah, Brown's had a couple of games where he's obviously had that that tipped
game winner
Hail Mary against Chicago, but he's had some decent games with some good a good amount of targets or number of targets and yardage, but it's just not consistent enough to really, I don't think he's rostered. I have him in Dynasty, but,
other than that I don't, Yeah. Next up, the big name, CMC, out for the year with a PCL tear.
Something like, a PCL injury. I don't know if they said it tore or not, but like I was saying, so in the replay, on that, he took that quick pitch or whatever it was out to the right, took like 3 steps and then 3 or 4 steps and then slid. They had a replay from behind, and when he stepped on that left leg, it did the calf did the jiggle, like the Rodgers.
Maybe
the
it let loose from the top and
I don't know, but it, like I said, something in there snapped is what it looked like.
That's too bad.
Yeah,
he's he's still fairly young. Let's see.
He's got a lot of miles.
I know.
And he's made a lot of money.
He has, but do you leave it on the table like that?
I don't think he'll be able to. I don't think he'll be able to. I think he'll definitely try and come back.
Yeah, I don't think Olivia's going to let him sit around the house all day.
Probably not.
Next up, we've got Rashawn Johnson, concussion protocol.
Yeah,
I didn't see the play.
No.
And I watched the game. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
He's kind of been a blip here and there. There was a little bit where Swift was really struggling.
Yeah, and he got a lot of work and scored some touchdowns.
He was their goal line back, short yardage guy. So, Chicago's just kind of a mess, obviously
Yeah.
with everything going on there. So
Yeah, isn't it just? When did they fire their coach?
last week,
Was it before the game or after the game?
after the game,
After the game.
yeah,
Oh, that's right, because
Yeah.
of the horrible
no timeout.
timeout usage. Next up, we've got CMC's running mate, Jordan Mason. He went to the IR with an ankle injury.
High ankle sprain, they said. Because he, CMC got hurt. Mason came in, had been involved too before he
Yeah.
got hurt and looked pretty good. And then all of a sudden he's just disappeared. And then I think it was today or either wouldn't have been last night because they played last night, right? What day is it? It's Tuesday. Yeah. So maybe this morning. I think it was this morning.
It's Tuesday. They didn't play last night.
Oh, they played Sunday night.
night.
That's right. My bad. Oh, I forgot about the game of the year, Cleveland, Denver.
Yeah, it was actually a good game.
It was. So, yeah.
Yeah. Moving on to our studs. We start out with Jameis Winston, plus 26.32. He was 34 of 58 for 497 yards. He had, I think it was 670 some yards of passing,
With
including the two
6 touchdowns.
6 touchdowns, including
Two
the
to
two Denver pick sixes.
Yep.
But I mean,
It was almost a third on that last one, too.
yeah, 497 yards passing, 4 touchdowns to his guys, 2 to the other guys, 3 interceptions, 3 rushes, 11 yards. Yep. I mean, that's exactly what you expect.
Jameis Winston stat line if
Yeah.
I've ever seen one.
I mean, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then the recipient of that, well, one of the recipients, Denver defense was the one recipient. The other one was Jerry Jeudy, plus 25.09, 9 catches on 13 targets for 235 yards and a touchdown.
Revenge game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the most yardage ever by a player playing against his old team.
Yep. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, was it number 2 or former number 1 was it T.O.?
May have been.
I think it was T.O. But yeah, I mean, Judy was just wide open. Like every time Jameis threw the ball, you're like, he's just in this like 10-yard bubble, that like seems like no defender can get near him, And
Maybe he has BO.
maybe a new tactic.
Yeah, right? Don't shower the week before. Next up, we've got Mac Jones, plus 21.45. He was 20 of 32 for 235 yards and 2 touchdowns. Obviously, they were expecting next to nothing, but in the period of time that he played well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, Mac Jones not having to start every week, it takes the pressure off of him. He can be, he can play a little bit more.
Well, he's going to be
loose.
starting for at least the next week or two.
Well, yeah, but, just not having that hangover, the Patriots,
Oh, yeah.
fan base and, all the pressure that comes along with that. I think he's feeling probably pretty relaxed down in Jacksonville.
Yeah,
so,
probably. I know I would be.
I mean, he, a name just to tie to Mac Jones is that Parker Washington had a really good game too. And, I mean, he had a couple catches with Lawrence, but he did most of his work with Mac Jones. So something to keep an eye on because I think Gabe Davis is out and was it Christian Kirk out as well too, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, there's like nobody there.
Right. I mean, they got injured along with, who was the other one? We knocked all 3 of their receivers out when they played in Green Bay. Oh, yeah. But
well, Brian Thomas Jr., but he's back.
Oh, yeah.
He
That's
was
right.
back, yes. Yeah. But still, I mean.
Yeah, I think the other 2 might still be
there. He had, like I said, he had a really good game, just to name,
Well, and Brian Thomas had a good game too. So, moving on, we've got Marvin Mims. I mean, this guy, it's funny because I've got him in our dynasty, and you can't trust him. He all of a sudden he gets this. He gets 3 of plus 17.2, 3 catches on 4 targets, 105 yards and a touchdown, 1 rush, 4 yards.
Yeah, and now next week he'll have 2 catches for 16 yards.
Yeah.
That's
or he won't have any catches.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the thing. You just, because when they drafted him 2 years ago,
Yes. Or wait, no. Mims,
was Mims a rookie last year?
that was Denzel Mims I'm thinking of. Because there was a Mims on the Jets.
Yeah, that was
My
a
bad.
defensive
Yes,
back.
yes, my bad.
Yeah. He
yeah,
was
2
he
years
was
ago.
he was like 2 years ago, and one of his early games he went off. He had 2 long catches, one
Well,
for a
he's-
touchdown, and
Lightning fast.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
guy, he's a burner.
but then all of a sudden they completely stopped using him, and I had drafted him in our kind of like I did with Mooney this year, just as a flyer at the end. And it looked like he was going to be the bomb.
Yeah,
and he,
well, I think some of that was how horrible Russell Wilson was throwing to anybody not named Cortland Sutton in the end zone last season.
yeah,
So, but yeah, I mean, Bo Nix. I mean, I'm excited for next year for Denver. I am, because they'll probably go out and either draft or try and find a actual NFL caliber running back.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, McLaughlin had a decent game, but Javante over the last 2 weeks he's got negative.
but what about Audrey
Negative
Castine?
one. I don't think he's going to amount to anything. But they got to fix that. I mean, their defense is good aside from last night.
Yeah.
I'm actually excited for Denver next year. I think Nix was
Yeah.
he was the pick for Denver there.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's like they said, they were surprised that, looking at him now and how he's developed, how much better he is than it seems like the rest of the class is, or, well, maybe not Jaden Daniels,
Yeah.
but
very close.
yeah.
Yeah, like 1A, 1B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then we've got Bucky Irving plus 16, and
I noticed
I think
that.
you're looking it up
Yes,
because
I
I
am.
spaced writing it down.
He had 25 rush attempts for 152 rushing yards, 1 touchdown, 3 catches for 33.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So I mean, another big week, and as long as he's not injured, he's in my starting lineup.
Yeah, same. I mean, like I said, he's been solid all season. I mean, I think it was like week 1 or week 2 might have been his lowest point total, and it was like 7 points. But other than that, he's been double digits pretty much every single week. And then now you're getting the big games.
Yeah.
And I believe he gets to play Carolina again.
Yeah,
In the
3 weeks.
in the championship round, I believe.
Yeah, it's in the playoffs.
Yeah. It's
I just
either
don't know if it's the
semis or the championship.
week 16 or week 17.
Yeah.
But
guess
I
I
think
could
it's
look it up again. But yeah.
16. But
So yeah, I mean he's just so good. Like I said, he just
So here's one of my problems. I've got Kamara, I've got Brees Hall, and I've got Bucky Irving, and I've got a couple other guys that I could play.
I mean, with how it's been going,
Although,
and how the Jets, I mean, just almost
I know,
refuse
but he's
to
got the
use Brees. I
easiest
know,
schedule.
but they just seem to refuse to use him the way
I know.
that made him.
Is Arthur Smith there?
But I personally, I mean, I'm a Bucky fan because I've had him on my roster. I actually went back and looked because I was talking with my buddy Isaac last night or 2 nights ago, I think, and week 2, I had dropped Chuba Hubbard to pick up Bucky Irving, which Bucky Irving Isaac had drafted, and then after week 1 had dropped him.
Wow.
And then week 2 came, and Chuba had 2 down weeks, and I dropped Chuba Hubbard and picked up Bucky Irving.
That's who else I have. I still have Chuba
Yeah.
on my team too.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'd start Bucky over Brees, and I think it'd be fine.
Yeah, it just depends, because Nico is on bye this week, so
Yeah.
at least I can play him in the flex. But I mean, I've got AJ Brown. I've got I can't even remember who my other receiver is. I mean, I've got 3. Oh, I've got Neighbors.
Yeah.
Now he has been a little less valuable lately, but he's got a good matchup this week, so we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Moving on to our duds. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence was our biggest dud, minus 16.44. 4 completions on 10 attempts, 41 yards, and an interception, 1 rush, 6 yards.
Yeah.
If he would have made it 1 rush and 5 yards, he still would have finished the game.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you say?
Yeah, that's all you can say.
Yep. Next up, we've got Brock Purdy, minus 15.09, 11 of 18 for 94 yards, 2 rushes for 4 yards.
A lot of snow in that game.
They got dominated.
Yeah, well, yeah, you lose CMC, you lose Jordan Mason in the same game,
Yep.
you know, and like I said, a lot of
Kittle,
snow.
what, 1 catch for 2 or 7 yards or something like that?
Yeah. So, I mean,
you had all of 11 completions.
Yeah, weather and the injuries that just took a lot of gas out of them. And Buffalo, their defense has been getting healthier and has been playing pretty well recently too. So, yeah, I mean, again, yeah. And Purdy was coming off of something like some forearm or arm or something like that too. I think it was last week. He came in questionable or didn't play last week.
Didn't play against the Packers.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The team we root for.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Next up, we've got Kirk Cousins, minus 12.19, 24 of 39 for 245 yards and 4 interceptions, 1 rush for 3 yards. Glad I didn't play him.
Yeah, they get Minnesota this week too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hasn't been that great as of late for Kirk Cousins.
It has not.
You know, maybe they trot out that number 8.
Yeah.
Number 8 pick overall.
Michael Penix.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they're ready to do that
they're
yet.
They're not going to because they paid Kirk.
Yeah. 40 mil a year.
Something like that.
160.
Something like that.
100 guaranteed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to sit anytime soon. Now, does he come back and because he's playing Minnesota, he plays well?
Maybe, but
I'm not taking the chance. I'm playing Jared Goff this week.
yeah.
Those are my 2 choices. So
Yeah.
next up, 4th quarterback, Baker Mayfield, minus 9.92, 21 of 33 for 235 yards, a TD, 2 interceptions, 3 rushes, 8 yards. Not good.
No. Oh, I mean, that too. I just rattled off Bucky Irving's stat line. They didn't need to. He did. Throw 33 passes. Attempts, but the 1 touchdown. 2 picks is not good.
No.
They've got Mike Evans, and then Kate Otten, who's been
Up and down.
yeah. So Godwin, I think the whole losing Godwin thing is starting to really set in for this team, and their defense has not been playing very well either.
Right.
And I'll give credit to Carolina. Carolina's been this 2 weeks back to back now, where they took Kansas City down to last second.
Yep.
And forced overtime with, or made Tampa come back to force overtime or something like that.
Yeah.
Carolina's been playing really good football, these last 2 weeks. So,
And of course, and like I mentioned to you earlier, the league that I won by 1 point, I was playing against Mayfield and Bucky Irving and McLaughlin, their kicker. And I had it in the bag until Carolina kicked or scored the touchdown to force them to come back and kick the field goal 51 yards or 50, whatever it was, to tie it and then win it in overtime. All of those extra points, and I would have won by a ton. Nope. I had to go to bed last night thinking, I hope I don't lose. I hope I don't lose. So our last dud of the week is QB number 5, Justin Herbert, minus 9.8, 16 of 23 for 147 yards, 5 rushes, 1 yard.
That's weird because they've been
They lost
lately.
McConkey.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. And
And he
I think
didn't-
McConkey had, 120 of those 147
Yeah,
yards
it's
or
possible.
something like that? Yeah, you lose McConkey, that goes down. losing J.K. Dobbins, was that 2 weeks ago now? Gus Edwards has done nothing. Will Dissly goosed.
Yeah.
He had. I don't even think he had a target. It's just a bad game.
Who was the other running back that they've got?
Vidal?
Yeah.
Come on, Vidal. Yeah.
Nothing there.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they're and they won the game though, right?
Yeah, because they had the 4 interceptions off of Kirk Cousins.
Oh, yeah,
I believe
yeah.
They played the Falcons.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I mean, it was still a close game.
Yeah.
But they're like what, 8-4 or
Something like that.
are they on bye this week?
Chargers.
Did you say McConkey was?
No, that was Bateman.
Yeah. I don't remember who's on bye.
Yeah.
There are too many teams.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's Chiefs. Chargers is this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they've had their bye, so they must be 9-4. They've got to be 9-4.
Yeah, something.
I don't think.
Like I said, they were
they're
clicking
8-5.
pretty good.
Yeah.
For a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
There.
and now it's with the guys that they've lost. It's going to be tough for them to go forward in the playoffs.
Yeah, the quote that I've heard often about the Chargers is it feels like they're one superstar away. I mean, McConkey's very good, but is
He's
he
a
true
rookie.
Yeah, but can he be a true alpha? I don't. I could be. He reminds me a little bit of Cooper Kupp.
Yeah,
He reminds me of Cooper Kupp, but like we're seeing now with the Rams, that's Puka's the number one,
right.
So the Chargers got to find somebody else, because Quentin Johnston, he had 5 drops the week before,
Yeah.
and obviously with Herbert's stat line probably didn't have anything, if maybe 1 or 2 catches.
Might not have even looked at him.
Yeah, so they got to find somebody else there. Obviously with J.K. Dobbins with the knee and everything, I don't see how you bring him back. It's such a scary thing with the number of injuries that he's had to the lower half of his body.
Yeah.
I can't see they bring him back. I can't see they bring Gus Edwards back. They got some things they got to figure out.
Yeah. They definitely need to find someone who can run the ball.
Yep.
Moving on to our waiver wire. I'm going to skip to the end because I should have put him first. Isaac Guerendo.
Yeah.
Isaac Guerendo is the blue chip of, I guess, the waiver wire coming up. I mean,
Yeah, he'll probably be the number 1 priority for
should be.
every league. If like I have him in Dynasty. Like I said, I'm starting him this week. I took him off my taxi squad.
Yep.
To fire him up this week.
To play against me.
Yep.
Thanks.
With Guerendo too, they still have. We saw in the past when Mason missed.
Right.
Or left the game with the AC joint, and then did he miss one after that? I feel like maybe he missed one, but we saw Patrick Taylor.
No, I think
well.
I think he played, but he only
Yeah.
played like 1 series.
Yeah.
And then he
Yeah.
was out.
So to tie with Guerendo, they still have Patrick Taylor,
Right.
and it is Shanahan. So he's not going to
Yep,
use
yep.
one back.
So-
he probably will use both of those guys.
So I've got a waiver wire request in. I'm third,
Okay.
and the bottom 2 teams, I don't think they're gonna
Yep.
really do anything. Probably one's Karen. she has a hard time paying attention to her own team, let alone players that
Yeah,
are on
waiver.
bye and waivers. She's still got Pacheco in the IR slot, so she can't do anything until she moves him out of the IR slot. So it's like I will have Kamara, Brees Hall,
Bucky.
and Bucky, Chuba, and Guerendo.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good position to be in, but I don't know if I'd ever use him.
I mean, at that point, it's just keeping him away from somebody else.
Yeah.
With a lower priority than you.
Right. Right. You don't want to give him to one of the top teams.
Yep. Yeah.
So-
So playing a little bit of keep away there. So
Yeah.
I mean, and Guerendo, he's crazy fast. He's not a, probably not a 25 carry a game kind of running back. So that's why I said like Patrick Taylor would probably be involved.
Oh,
but Guerendo's the kind of guy that one cut and he's gone. So, he can be a home run hitter
Yeah.
at that position. So
Right. Next up, we've got Jerry Jeudy.
if he's somehow still out there.
Jeudy.
He's been pretty solid for the last, 3 weeks now?
Yeah.
3 or 4 weeks now?
Yeah.
And obviously the monster week this
and
week.
I think, early in the season, I was making comments about, I wouldn't even have him on the team. And now he's, he's a stud.
Mm-hmm.
I think was he a stud last week? I mean, he just keeps on.
Off the
Yeah,
list
I mean,
for
he
it,
just
yeah.
keeps on putting up the numbers now.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, you get Jameis throwing the ball 58 times. He's going to put up yardage, so, you want a piece of that. I mean, Elijah Moore, he had over 100 yards in that. I mean, Njoku had, 70 yards or...
Yeah.
Like 70 yards and two touchdowns.
touchdowns.
Yeah, it was
yeah.
2 touchdowns. I can't remember the yardage.
And
for
was
sure.
completely missed
Yeah.
on a couple.
Yeah.
Well, and Judy was going. He ran a route that he cut across the middle, and had Winston thrown it right away.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he ended up taking a sack or something.
Yeah.
Wide open.
Yep.
And however, they were also without Tillman.
Yeah, he was protocol concussion, I believe. So you would imagine he'd be back this week.
So, I mean, part of what Judy might be seeing is some of what Tillman was seeing.
Yeah.
Because Tillman was putting up some big weeks.
Yeah.
So, next up, Marvin Mims. If you want to take a chance on a home run hitter,
Yeah.
he's been hitting the home runs.
Yeah, I mean, Bo Nix threw a pick in that game that I watched. He threw it 50 yards down the field, and it was going to Mims, but he just barely overthrew it, and the defender was able to intercept the ball. But Nix is not afraid to chuck it,
Right.
And like I said, Mims is super fast as well, so
Yeah.
he can at any time. Yeah, like you said, home run hitter. So
Next up, we've got Adam Thielen. I think I mentioned him last week.
yeah, well, I mean, this was his first week back, I believe.
Second.
He had 10 targets this week or something, touchdown, and it was it last season when he started the season, and he was, through the first 3 weeks was the wide receiver 1.
First 5 weeks,
Yeah,
I think.
it was really good, and then obviously fell off because Bryce Young fell apart.
Right.
But
Bryce Young is looking good.
Yeah, so I mean, and they have that connection from the start of last season.
Right.
So yeah, I think Thielen, you need a good flex option for probably rest of the season.
Well, especially this week with all the teams on bye.
Yeah, I'd throw Leggett in there as well too. I mean, like I said, if the Panthers can keep playing the way they've been playing, that bodes well for the offense.
Right. Next up, Nick Westbrook-Akine.
Mr. Touchdown.
Yeah. I mean, what did it...
It's 8 touchdowns in the last 8 games, and he had 2 of them this weekend.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I mean, he just...
That's all he does.
Yeah. He's catching the stuff that comes his way. He's making the most of the opportunities, and he's scoring touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, you've still got... Well, no, actually, Schultz scored his first touchdown of the year, didn't he? Tight end for Houston.
Oh,
Dalton Schultz.
Yeah.
I was going to say he's going to, just the opposite of a Dalton Schultz. But Dalton scored, Of course, I got rid of him. So,
I mean, with the Akine, like I said, he's been averaging 3 catches a
Right.
game, but one of them has been a touchdown. And like I said, he had 2 this week. So, I mean, he gets looked for in the red zone, and then, he's had a couple big ones too, and we all know Will Levis is not afraid to chuck it. So,
Right.
If you need a
he's
potential boom, I mean,
he's Jameis Winston 2.0, right?
yeah, sure.
Well, turnovers galore
That's
to
true.
go with slinging it wherever.
That's true.
Last one I've got is Mac Jones.
Starting quarterback, at least for this week, probably. So,
Yeah, I mean,
you got
he
all the
came in.
buys, and
Yep.
who are they playing? They're playing Tennessee, and Tennessee's defense has not been as stout as it was in the beginning of the year. I think they
Right.
put L'Jarius Sneed on IR either this week or last week. So, who knows?
Yeah. I mean, if you need someone, go for it.
Yep.
That's about all I've got. Did you have anything? You didn't have anything to add?
No, I mean, obviously we're getting, like I said, last week before playoffs for everybody.
Not everybody. You guys have playoffs in your Dynasty League this week.
Oh, well, yeah, that's for the, which we figured out. Nick had texted us that they do you play that team 2 weeks in a row and it's cumulative points and
then you do the same thing the following week.
Yeah.
Or following 2 weeks. I don't know why you'd want, and people are going to say, well, and I get it more with a dynasty than I do with a redraft, because in a redraft league, you've got 6 teams on bye this week. There's nobody. I mean, it would add a new dimension to have to sit there and go, oh my goodness, if I make the playoffs, do I have any of my starters playing week 14? Because I can't draft any of them.
Yeah, like I said, in my redraft league this week, which is must win, so I explained that in the Yahoo League, I'm without Nico Collins, great, and Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
Who's been
but you weren't
solid.
playing Mark Andrews.
I have been, because he's been same thing, he's been catching touchdowns lately.
Man, I wish I could have gotten him when I tried to trade for him.
Yeah.
No, I'll hold on to him.
Yeah.
That was about week 4 when he was stinking.
Yep.
So, well, that's all we've got for this week. Hopefully you take some time to watch the show or listen to the podcast. Otherwise, I'm Ozzy.
And I'm Austin.
Have a great week.
Bye.